But if you really want to have a sustained impact, educate your teachers and your support staff so that you not only get it in the one sitting, you get it 180 days a year where the teachers are reinforcing expectations. Here's best practices. So if you're able to train, you train your parents, you train the kids, you train your staff. Now you have a systems-wide approach to supporting kids and their future.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday shine online. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hello, I'm George Fiore, and I'm the Executive Director of the Chester County Intermediate Unit, located in Downingtown, Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia. We serve about 87,000 students in beautiful Chester County. That serves about 12 school districts. But in our own setting, we serve direct services of 33,000 children.
It's so great to have you on the podcast here today. I'm so excited to talk with you about best practices in your community, what you're doing with students. Our goal here at smartsocial.com is to help to keep students safe, not only on social media, but in the community, so they can someday shine online and do all these great things that we're trying to teach them with all these wildly successful tools like AI, social media, and so on. So George, it's so great to have you here today. The first big question that I have for you is with regards to your school district over the past 1 to 4 years, what's the biggest accomplishment as a district over those past years?
Thanks, Josh. I am really excited to talk about our school community. When we say it's really our greatest accomplishment over the last 1 to 4 years. We're an educational service agency. So we provide services for the most vulnerable and neediest children in our entire community. And one of our core tenets and what I'm most proud of is we've increased access and opportunity for children over the last 4 years. We're almost doubled our enrollment of students in special education programs, career and technical education, and our virtual learning environment. To me, we're the great leveler. We provide access for children who typically wouldn't have it. And we also provide access to career opportunities that they may not have had in their own home district. So our team here at the IU, 1,500 staff members strong and growing, we do that each and every day. So I'm very proud of that work because we're creating brighter futures.
I love what you hit on, the career and technical, and you're really talking about the different silos of your district, bolstering them up so that everybody has resources, which is really exciting. Great work there. Let's dive into a little bit of the safety. Then we're going to move into some positive stuff again. What advice do you have, George, for other school districts, other communities to deal with social media issues that may originate on a social media app and then create a very real problem on one of your campuses?
This is a problem that is plaguing schools all across the nation, right? It's not a new problem that's been there. However, my recommendation to colleagues across a variety of different settings, whether you're in elementary, because we're seeing it as young as elementary school, all the way through high school, is to take a proactive approach in the same way we would teach math or English or science or social studies. Let's teach children how to be able to use these programs and social media sites as a way of helping them be better students, better human beings, and using them as collaborative tools. If you think, Josh, how we use them, why not train students to use X, other social media, as a way of enhancing their access to information, their access to communicating with peers in positive ways? So we have to educate them. We can't assume that they're just going to do that on their own without education. So by taking a proactive approach, we can then help our kids and arm them to be successful in an age-appropriate way.
I like that. Even when there's bad things online, you're talking about how do we use it in a good way? And that's really what leads us into the next question. Can you provide some examples, George, of how your students may have used their social media in a positive or productive way that may have benefited themselves or their community?
Absolutely. It's one of a point of pride for me is watching our students. I'll use our career and technical education centers. These are students that are making a choice to enter a vocational field, and it may also be college. So it's not either or, it's and. It's a different world than when we were younger. Our students are using these social media platforms to advertise their skill sets.
Mm.
For example, in our cosmetology program, we have our students videoing the work that they're doing, and they're being able to show their skills, their talents. And when they're able to do that, employers take notice. And that ranges from cosmetology into HVAC into automotive. What a great way of advertising yourself. We call them social media influencers today. I call it good advertising for your skill set so you can get a job. Whereas my dad would say the get out of my basement plan.
I love what you're saying here. Just on a personal note, when my nephew was 5, I built him a little baby website. We're the leaders at Smart Social and shining online. And so I thought I'd use this. Parents are often saying, and parents listening to this right now, what George is saying is one of the most powerful things you can probably hear about your digital footprint for your kid. Yes, we should talk about safety, but if you
Yeah.
teach them how to use it wisely, the safety figures itself out because they know how to get fired and hired. And then all of a sudden, the safety, they start to choose the right path when they understand why. Case in point, for my 5-year-old nephew, I built him a little baby website that highlights him and some of his activities. And and I bought him a little domain of $12 a year, and that's the whole cost. And now he has a little advertising. Well, fast forward 5 years. Last week, my sister says, I want the credentials. I want to update it. He's 10 now, and he's playing baseball so well. She built out all these little pages, baseball, basketball, and some other sports that football, flag football. And now they're going on vacation in a city, and she wanted to see if he could play a travel one game there, and he got accepted because of George, as you said, good advertising. Some parents right now are going, I don't want my kid to be advertised. If they are online, they're doing something. It's just like food, we believe at Smart Social. I don't want my kids to ever eat sugar. They're eating something there's probably sugar in it. So let's make sure it's the right kind. They're already doing some of this stuff. Let's just have a rich dialogue about that. My nephew is now shining online, good advertising, and already had that success, which I'm so proud of. George, I love where you're going with this. I love that positivity. I'm hearing career and trade, which is so powerful, learning at a young age, some really relevant things. And then the get out of my basement plan, which I don't disagree with. I think it's wonderful. George, the next question I have for you that I think is so relevant to your answers so far is what suggestions do you have for parents in your community, but also other communities across the country to encourage their kids to use technology in a positive way, both in the classroom and at home?
So this is difficult as a parent because it's another full-time job. I wish I would have listened to my parents when they said the hardest thing you'll do in life is be a parent. And I'm like, no way. I saw you guys do it. You made it look easy, right? Which is the farthest from the truth. Any parent's probably laughing right now saying it is really hard. I think there's a few things. One, as a parent, I think it's important that we develop our skills too, because we'll never be able to keep up with the rate of technological advances. It's really hard to do that. However, I think one thing my wife and I have done, and one that we've advocated for parents, is learning yourself what's out there because you want to have some safeguards that you build in, also that are aligned to your own morals, beliefs, and how you think things should go. Because you want your children to be able to follow along in a way that you feel comfortable, because that digital footprint you talked about, Josh, that also speaks to your morals and values.
Yeah.
And sometimes children don't know that's what they're communicating. So it's important for us as parents to help train them because we want to make sure that it's not just the hours that they're in school. It's also when they come home that they're getting consistent messages on how you present yourself to the world, how you learn, how you're going to take technology and use it as an accelerator. Because that's what it's intended to do. You think about artificial intelligence. What are your expectations as a parent for your child in using AI? I know I've had that talk, and I have children in my house. My youngest is 10 and my oldest is 17. Two different conversations, but they're both already using it. They go to school and they're like, Dad, what is this system? And I have to explain it. So I think you have to educate yourself. One, communicate your expectations. It's really critical that we are crystal clear on our expectations as parents. And then the last part is help them use it as a tool of acceleration. They're going to be in the world very shortly. I blinked and I have a 17-year-old. I can't believe that. I was just holding him in my arms. Now I look up to him. But all that work that we put in between there, I feel really good that he'll be successful when he leaves my doors. So educate yourself. Make sure you set those expectations so that you can make sure that they represent you, your family, and themselves well. And then encourage them to use it as an accelerator. It's the difference maker as an employer When I interview a young person and I see how they've taken those kinds of skills and tools, they shine compared to everyone else. And that's the future that we want to hire.
I have to tell you, 550 episodes as of the time of this recording on our podcast, and you are resonating so well with how do we use these tools in a positive way? How do we instill great values, expectations, and rules with these students? And then how do we help them use them to launch into their future? So I couldn't agree more with you, George. I want to dive into the next question because you really talked a lot about parenting, which I think is really the answer here. How can parents get closer to students? And I think a big part of that with all of our district leaders who are on the podcast have said, we want to engage parents and we want to, at home, encourage those rich dialogues. And for all you district leaders and parents, the only safety app in the world that will help your kids, we believe at Smart Social, and I know everybody's going to agree with this, it's that rich dialogue that parents have with their kids. Microsoft and Google, they're amazing. We don't get paid by them. They're amazing. They will not wake up at 2 a.m. and go, something doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. And only that rich dialogue where a kid feels comfortable coming to a parent to have that dialogue about something they saw online is going to be the ultimate way to keep them safe. So with that thought in mind, what are your suggestions, George, for other school districts, other communities to increase parent engagement? And in addition, are there any specific engagement channels or events that get the biggest turnout?
Absolutely. There has to be a partnership between your school community and the parents and guardians. That engagement is the secret sauce in very successful communities and schools. It's that partnership. So some of the things that I think are important is one is we call them school safety summits. And we partner with the district attorney's office. We partner with technology institutions so that we can provide cyber safety. What does it look like for parents? We get really good attendance. And in one of the outgrowths of COVID that I can say is a positive is we've had more parental involvement in these online meetings because they're able to do it from their home. So our enrollment has jumped, which means we have more parents with access to information that they would never have in the past. Rather than coming to sit in an auditorium, you have to find a babysitter in some cases, regardless of age. It's a challenge. Those have been really helpful. So I encourage our school district leaders to partner with community resources. There's a variety of them. Ours just happens to be the district attorney's office, working with our county commissioners, so we can provide a county support system. And then you bring in experts. That's one part of it. Another part that we've seen has been excellent is when we not only take that same training, but bring it to your teachers. So there's a distinction here. You could bring them in and do an auditorium presentation. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I think many of us do that. But if you really want to have a sustained impact, educate your teachers and your support staff so that you not only get it in the one sitting, you get it 180 days a year, where the teachers are reinforcing expectations. Here's best practices. So if you're able to train, you train your parents, you train the kids, you train your staff. Now you have a systems-wide approach to supporting kids and their future. It's just like anything else. If I want to teach you math, I'm going to do it for 180 days. And I want you to be really good at it. And we're going to practice it. And then I'm going to hold you accountable to it on a consistent basis. That would be my recommendation.
I absolutely love it. I think there's so much you just said. We're about to dive into the most popular question that district leaders and parents have right now. We're going to talk about AI in just a sec. But first, I want to give a shout out to the school districts nationwide in 29 different states that are helping us reach millions of students with our live parent engagement events in the evening remotely, and then also our new student engagement platform that are training students nationwide. Thank you to the many school districts that are pushing this out in their community as we share lots of little timely nuggets, if you will, little modules that are all about teens teaching the whole program. Teens teaching teens gets 10x the engagement we found with other students watching. So thank you, and shout out to everybody who's using that. If you're a district leader that wants to talk and get a demo pass for that, please reach out to my team. And we're excited about what we're doing to 10x the parent engagement nationwide in both English, in Espanol, in Mandarin, and 10 other languages. No one is ever left behind, and they can always join with very little software, if any at all, from their mobile phone. So we're pumped about that. All right, George, we're back to the program. The biggest question I have right now for you that everybody's abuzz about, we've been talking about it for a year now, is how is your school district approaching AI tools like ChatGPT?
Yeah, it's a great question, and your timing is even better. I just left an AI collaborative meeting where we are working on 2 different fronts, and I'm really excited about this because one is, what are the guidelines that we're going to work on? And guidelines may be too strong, guardrails. What are we doing to support our educators and our students in how to navigate using artificial intelligence? AI is not new. AI has been used. It's just its acceleration in the last year has grown so much. So how do you use it? When is it appropriate? I know I use it quite frequently. It has been a tool of efficiency and acceleration. I'm able to move faster in things that would normally take me hours, which is the one goal of using it. I would also say that when you're training staff members, you have to look at policy. We're working on policies around it. When I say policies, there's always going to be these guardrails that will support our educators in using it. Now, personally, I am not a big believer in a lot of rules in using technology. That's one of my own personal beliefs, because if it's a tool, we should teach them how to use it really well. But there are some guardrails we must use. So that's the one part. The really exciting part is, I say to all of our folks in our organization, and what we're working on is, how can we be innovative using AI? And I'll give you this as an example. One of the things we're pursuing, and I know many others are across the nation, the majority of students that I serve are special education. Our students are sent from school districts to our programs, and we provide a really outstanding service. But here's the accelerator that I see AI as the game changer. Can AI be the personal assistant for students who lack executive functioning? It's an open-ended question, because many of our students struggle with those tasks. But imagine having that AI that walks alongside you that says, George, imagine in the morning I have assigned to me an AI bot that says, George, today you have 2 tests. Are you prepared for them? Here's some things to remember, because it's pulling it from your student information system. It's pulling it from your teacher notes, where it starts to give the student an idea of what to expect. George, here's what's for lunch today. Did you have a good night's rest? If not, why don't you stop by the student store? They're giving away XYZ. And today for lunch, you're having this. A little later in the day, you're going to have an assembly. Imagine AI taking away all the pressure on students that just don't have the executive functioning to keep their day organized. That's the kind of visioning that I'd like to say AI has the possibility. Because I know when I was in school, I remember a teacher saying to me, George, you're never going to have a calculator in your pocket every day to do the job. And you know what? They're right. I have something that's more powerful. I've got something that can tell me where to go, how to get there, a calculator, social media. So I think we need to be innovative. And we have here in our organization, we have an innovation group that's working to operationalize what could be, and then let's try to create it.
Oh, what you just said is so great. I think, George, you and I are 100% in line with the positive part of these tools can take students to the next level. And when we were young, they did say you won't have a calculator. But I think you and I both agree students should know arithmetic, forward to backwards, spelling really well, grammar. But then this tool, once you know the basics, can take to the next level. So that once you know how to do back of the napkin calculations, then the tool can help you guide it and analyze. Absolutely love what you said. And what you just said, I'd love to I took some notes. Can AI be that assistant, the personal assistant you said, for students who lack executive functioning skills? I wrote down nudging them and reminding them in a positive way as their friend. Hey, don't forget, because I know we've all probably had a tough time. Do we study enough? Do we have questions on this homework? I think, George, the next step is the Khan Academy, which
Mhm.
every educator's probably heard of. They flipped the classroom. The Khan Academy founder mentioned that in the 80s, there was a study done that said if every student could afford to have 1 to 2 hours of tutoring every night, they would go from a C plus to an A minus, an order of magnitude better. And AI can do that. It doesn't give you the answer. It walks you through. And that's what Khan Academy's new AI tool does. And we're not paid by them, but for $4 a month, it may be the ultimate equalizer for families.
Right.
Instead of having to wait until class, kids get walked through. So I'm excited about everything you just said and couldn't agree more on so many levels. what would your one tip for parents on how to dive into AI and make it less intimidating? Or what would you have them say to themselves to say, I'm not as tech savvy with AI? What's your one tip to make this meaningful for families so that they can just dive in and try it?
It's funny you asked this because I did this with my own family because I was a novice to it. I think we all were when it first came out. And my 17-year-old, and I have a 15-year-old as well. There's dad, get with the program. Here's what it does. One way we did it that I found so useful is we used AI to help us plan a vacation. Very simple. And it wasn't even a real vacation. So it's not even like I said, where would we go? What would we want to do on a vacation? Like we started with this real simple prompt. And of course, my 17-year-old took the lead in writing the prompts. And then what we were saying is, what is the answer to that? We got from AI. We're using ChatGPT. Now it's Gemini. And if you're using the Google suite, we were able to refine our questions, which is a skill set that my wife said to me after she goes, I saw what you're doing. You were back in teacher mode. I said, I'm in search of the perfect question because with the right questions, I get better answers. And that's what we were using AI to do. And I've watched now, we're almost a year later, 6 months. My kids are really good at using AI. I've gotten better by watching them because we just went through, how do you plan a family trip? Where would we go? What are the goals? What does mom want to do? What does the 10-year-old want to do? And what meets that criteria? That's a nice way to enter it. It's less threatening. It's also something that you could wish for. You could say, we want to go to the best beach in the world. And they pull up all the things of the possible best beaches in the world if money was no object. So that's a nice way of doing it. I would say research what kinds of AI tools meet your needs because AI is not just ChatGPT. You could use it for presentations. You can use it for pictures, things that are everyday uses. And I think you can really start to harness the power of it when you personalize it to your needs. And a simple Google search can help you get there. And the overwhelming part is all of it that's out there right now. There's actually thousands of AI tools you could use. Just use the free ones for a little while till you get used to it.
George, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. You've got a good grapple on the positive use of technology, how to support students in the future. This was a big treat for me. So thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate you having me on and to your entire team. This work is really important. And thank you for having me be part of it.
Thank you so much. For the rest of you watching, whether you're a parent, a district leader, or anyone else, remember there's a lot of positive tools that we can use. But the richest one, as George said, is that question that you ask your kids. And jumping into teacher mode can be amazing. And remember, some of the best teachers are just posing questions because we have to have the teens, the students, use that little calculator in their brain to ask the right questions so that they can do the calculations. So before they're in that real life situation, they've already thought through what their answer might be. Do I try drugs? No, because it leads down this road. And if you ask them those questions, they know how to say no to the bad things and how to navigate the good things. We here at Smart Social are dedicated to keep your kids safe on social media so they can someday shine online. We're reaching millions of people a year. Shout out to the incredible team, the army of parents that does our research to help and serve those millions of people. And in 29 different states, the school districts that are using our stuff. We have a lot to learn and so much passion in doing this. We're so excited in the future. And I want to leave you with this. As the title of my book says, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite because everything we do, our kids are watching. We'll see all of you on the very next episode. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to our smartsocial.com podcast. I'm your host, Josh Oakes. This was our District Talk segment where we interview school district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media so those students can someday launch into their future by shining online. This episode was brought to you by our smartsocial.com VIP program. It's called the Very Informed Parent Program, which helps you engage your students with teen-led video lessons. Stay one step ahead with our premium parent newsletter and discover hidden features on trending apps on teens' phones and our 54 plus live parent and student-friendly events every single year. You can click on the link below to chat with one of our team members if you want a free pass to our VIP program to support your community with our smartsocial.com resources. And if you're a district leader who has a success story, we would love to feature you on a future episode. You can click the links below to reach out. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day.